I think we're up and cooking now. Ha! Come on, puppy. Hold on. So you guys can hear me talk, but you... Okay, wait, we're still waiting for a picture to show up on my end. I understand you guys see a video, but that doesn't mean I see a video. So bear with me 1 second. Guys, I'm sorry. I've been so busy setting up for my system assembly today. I lost track of time. So Dave Rush, thank you so much for covering for me. Let's go ahead and dive into this a little bit. And let me show you what I've been doing since I spoke to you guys. All right, so basically, we're not going to see a 4090 today. So let me tell you what our setup is, guys. So here I've got my motherboard set up and ready to go. All right. When I say set up and ready to go, it's basically unpacked. What I've done is what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to get the CPU running, I'm going to get the RAM running with the new power supply, and I'm going to try to boot it. That's it. Anytime I'm doing a new assembly like this, I don't want to plug anything in unnecessarily. You really want to jinx yourself, go ahead and mount it into your case. That's a guarantee something's going to go wrong. I'm kidding, but it works out that way. All right, so seriously, Tolowit, if you can see me and hear me, type in, "Hi, Mike." Tolowit, do that for me right now. Please, please, please. Because I don't have any image. All right. God, it just seems so crazy. If you guys saw what was happening on my side, you'd understand the confusion. So I'm going to gamble that you guys can see my cameras and everything. All right. So let us go ahead. Let me make sure my other camera's working real quick. Okay, cool. So here's the motherboard that I'm working with. Pretty nice motherboard. I'm running, it's an i5 13400K. This is a LGA 1700 socket. This will be the first one of these I've ever done. And so what we're going to do right now is making sure everything's up and cooking. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grabbing this, get a hold of that motherboard book, and I'm going to take some time. I'm going to do a little reading to make sure I know exactly what's taking place. In particular, when I'm mounting these liquid coolers, invariably these liquid coolers will have, they'll run for AMD, different types of AMD sockets, different types of Intel sockets, and this one's no exception. I had to put a special mounting bracket onto the motherboard, put that in from the bottom. I've already gone ahead and done that, and it's pretty much a matter of screwing in 4 screws, which I don't currently have, of course. We'll get those in a moment, and that should mount the CPU. On the RAM side, I got the RAM out of the box. I only have 2 sticks, which is a little disappointing, and it says that I'm supposed to put it in 2 very specific sockets. Well, why do that? I mean, I can just go ahead and boot the thing up. I think I got 50-50 odds of getting them in the right sockets. They're always separated by 1, so it's only can be in 2 positions, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and snap those in. One of the things I want you to take a look on this motherboard, though, before we go too deep into this. And in particular, notice I've got a little piece of anti-static on here. If you look at the bottom of this thing, it's completely shielded. So there's no screws or anything. I can just set this whole thing down, not really have much of a concern, and I'm in good shape. I probably have no concern just putting it right onto the wooden table. I have anti-stat here. I've got all that stuff here, just so you guys don't think I'm nutsy here. So this is my old trusty iFixit toolbox, and in here, I really do have this. I gotta be honest with you though, I don't like to mess with the anti-static wrist pads. Now, number one, if it isn't my stuff, then I'm gonna do whatever the owner says, all right? But in general, I've just been doing this for so long that I'm happy with just not using it at all. All right, take a look inside. Here's the i5. Clang bang. I actually prepped all this, guys. So here's my i5 ready to go. And we're going to drop this in to the old socket here. This one's a lot more rectangular than I'm used to seeing from Intel processors, or AMD for that matter. All right, let's just drop this in. I'm being careful. I want to look for my corners. Looks like this is the right way. It drops in, everything's nice and flat. I know I got the CPU in right. Latch that puppy down, and our CPU's mounted. So with the CPU in, I'm going to have to start bringing some more cables in to be able to boot this thing. Now, I've already got it plugged into the system, so with fingers crossed, here in a minute, we'll actually be able to watch the system boot together. So what I have here is the actual power supply. This is the 1000 watt. I actually have him plugged on his own 20 amp circuit. I've got a lot of cameras and lights on these circuits here, and when this thing lights up, it's not going to be pulling 1000 watts, but it could get close. So I just want to get that off to its own circuit, and then we should be in good shape there. All right. So, because this one's modular, it was pretty easy for me to just plug in the stuff I needed. So I plugged in, this is the P1 and P2 right here. This is a SATA. I'm going to show you why I plugged in a SATA. And then all three of these are secondary plugs. Oof. So these three right here are all secondary plugs that plug into the motherboard. So no real pretty way to do this other than just tuck in, so I'm going to get going here. Regular old 24-pin P1 connector, nothing exciting there, super obvious where that's going to fit in. Now you also notice I'm not snapping any cards in today, so normally if I've got cards to snap in, I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to put the motherboard on the table like this. I'm going to put it on a motherboard box, then put some anti-static wrap on it, and then drop it in. All right. So now I got all these PCIe 8 pins. Again, I'd already looked to see what I needed and went ahead and plugged all these into the power supply. So I've got what I needed. But I had to sit here and I had to pull out the motherboard book and take a little peek and see where everything goes. I don't know this automatically. And then for some reason it has a 6-pin. But this has 8. It has PCI 8 and 6 pins. So that's not that big. See how it drops right in? I had it right. Yep, just fall. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I was starting to get a little nervous there. All right, so I got all my power in. I would be tempted at this point to go ahead and give it a quick test. But you're like, Mike, there's nothing on for the CPU. Yeah, but the reality is that the reality is that I'm going to only run it for a second or two just to see if it's lighting up. But I'm paranoid. So let's go ahead and put the CPU in. Now, there's always the big joke with CPUs is putting in lots of thermal paste. This one has a light coating of thermal paste ready to rock and roll. So I'm just going to drop that on here. The only thing I'm going to worry about, and remember, this is all test fitting, guys, so I reserve the right to change my mind and probably will, is how do I orient this, right? So the big thing I'm worried about is where do these cables go? So the way I'm looking at it, I'm thinking there's a natural bias like this. This is going to be the back. This is going to be the back. And I got a bias, so I'm going to put it like this. And the reason I'm doing that is because unless I've got it 180 degrees backwards, that's going to be how they point up towards the fan. This is eventually I'm going to have 3 fans mounted on this. This will be put on the top of the system. So I'm closing my eyes, memorizing my system, and yes, this is the best orientation. The orientation doesn't matter. It's a square device, but it just makes your life easier when it comes to cables. And then with this Corsair cooler, we just got some thumb screws, which I probably should have had out before but I didn't. Dirt. So let me drop. And I'm just finger tightening these. Yep, aren't you glad I did most of this already before I called you guys, before we started the AMA? That's why I was running late. I'm sorry about that. Thank goodness Dave was there to, as always, save my bacon. But get in there. All right. We're 3 and 4. And the last thumb screw. So I get paranoid because this doesn't have a lot of mounting support to it. I can't really show you, but the holes are more like slots as opposed to holes, which makes me a little bit nervous. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get it the same amount of finger tight all the way around. You can get it surprisingly close. And this one's so backed up with air coolers, I can't even get my fingers in that one. And I'm not going nuts here at all. In fact, I'm being quite gentle. There we go. All right. So that looks like it's mounted pretty good. So let's take a little peek at that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 put in. Now, I'm not going to mess with, I'm just going to leave the fan as it is for now. Later, I'm going to go ahead and put this radiator as it is for now. I'll put the fans in a minute. I'm not going to keep it running that long, so I'm not actually very paranoid about how long this thing happens to run. You don't need, there's enough fluid in here to cool your CPU for a good 2 or 3 minutes, no problem whatsoever. However, now the next part is okay, well, how do I power the cooling system? And I've had to read the instructions, and it needs this little box, which came with the cooling system. It has a proprietary connection that goes into this control box, or what it calls the core box. And then it has a SATA connection, which is why I pulled these SATAs over. So that's obviously what's going to give it the juice. It's sad, the only thing I'm going to put a whole SATA cable in here just to power the fan system. And then there's a USB connector. So the USBs this is just going to be for the controls. So I can put this into any USB slot and it'll work just fine. Arbitrarily. I don't like that. I'm putting yeah. You can't see, but what's happening is I'm kind of obligated to put it a lot higher than what I would normally like to do on the board, but that's okay. We'll do cable management later. At this point in the game, we just want to make sure everything's up and cooking. So let's go ahead and get some RAM in there. Oops. Uh-oh, did I lose you guys again? There we go. Yeah. My controls are acting a little strange, but we'll eventually get these guys figured out. All right. So, good old RAM here. Wow, this is prideful RAM, to say the least. There's one. Get this other one out. Ah! Yeah, told it this is a dual channel motherboard. I haven't seen anything but dual channel boards for years. And it did specify 2 slots to put it in. And I could read the motherboard book and get it right, or I could just guess. Nice part about RAM is as long as the RAM's good, if you put it in wrong, you're not going to break anything. It just won't run. There's one. All right. So it looks like I've got all the juice that I need. I got it plugged up. I got a CPU on there, well mounted as far as I can tell, feels good. I've got RAM, and I got a video output. Now here's the part that's going to be a little bit of a question mark, folks. I don't know if this is going to work for you guys. So I'm going to kick the fan over. And so I've got lights on the actual motherboard itself, so that's a good sign. And I'd show you, but it's buried. So I'm hitting the start button. Getting some pretties. So you see I'm getting a little light coming off the RAM chips. What I'm not getting, it's bothering me, is right here. You should be able to see that, but that's post. And the post isn't working. I don't get into a big panic over stuff like this. If I actually took the time to put in the speakers and everything, I'd probably be getting a something's not seen, which I'm guessing is the RAM. So I'm going to go ahead and cheat. And yes, I'm going to actually read the instructions real quick, because I think the mistake I've made here is I've just put the RAM in the wrong spot. Oh, maybe not. Let's go ahead and shut this off. I didn't put the CPU fan on. And again, without a beeper, I wouldn't be able to even hear that. But I'm just double checking. And it wants me to put it way down here. It's going to look so ugly, but for right now, we're going to... this is what's coming off the header. This is what actually controls the fan itself. I had everything else plugged in, but the pump wasn't running. So, come on, puppy. What I'm doing now is I'm listening for the fan to kick over. So I'm just waiting for a minute. And again, I'm not getting anything coming off of the post device, which bugs me. I'm definitely, the pump is spinning. All right. So the other thing to check real quick is, did I put the RAM in the wrong spot? Which, let's face it, I've been known to do that. Kind of like watching paint dry, isn't it, guys? So all I'm doing now is I'm just moving the CPU's, the RAM sticks over to the other 2 slots. Power back up. Make noise. I'm also triple checking. Even though the post card isn't showing anything, I'm still watching the BIOS screen to see if it's coming up. The fan on the power supply isn't spinning, which, You know, there's no law that says it has to spin at this point, but I'm a little surprised that it's not spinning. The one thing I hadn't anticipated is probably happening. So let me see if I can cheat a little bit here. It almost certainly, there's preventers in here to keep it from running without fans or something. So I didn't anticipate this. So that's why we get to do this live, yay. So I'm going to just toss one fan on real quick and see if that fools the system enough to let me go ahead and boot. There's 4 banks of fan controllers on this system. There's a lot more than that, but these are the ones I'm interested in. So all the fans go straight into this core beast. Yeah, so there is a place for me to plug it in here, but I'm worried that that's not going to really see it. So just for the sake of getting things going, I know that there's a CPU fan power right here, and I'm gambling. Yeah, so if we make smoke, folks, it's going to be here on television. And I've got it plugged into a monitor, but it's not bringing up any post either. All right, so I'm going to try one more thing, and then we're going to call it a day. This is the kind of thing where the diagnostics are not interesting. When a system doesn't boot up in this simple mode like this usually tells me I have plugged something in wrong, 9 times out of 10. The other thing is I was so cocky that I didn't even bring a tester or anything. How hard can it be? Come on, you bugger. Yes, Dave. Yeah, you can't see it, but I've been pressing it right here. Nope, there's a little button. Dave's double checking for me. So Dave's telling me I need to press the start button. There is a start button, but what Dave's recommending is to hit the external connectors. There they are. So I just used something handy in metal. Dave, if this works, I'm going to kill you. Whoa. That was just me jumping. Nothing happened, guys. Well, it sure turns off pretty enough. All I'm doing is I'm double checking my connections real quick, just in case there's something I might have missed. And invariably there is and will be something I missed. But at this point in the game, I'm not going to worry about that too much. Come on, puppy. So one of the things I'm noticing is that I thought there was a light right on the top of this thing. And I noticed that light isn't coming on. So I'm starting to wonder if the problem, I don't think that the system's getting enough juice to that guy. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to check the power supply and a few other things later. But right now we'll just go ahead and say, darn, that's as far as we can go. But this is pretty typical. What it's going to look like when I first get started on a system build like this is it's going to be just a fun little mess like this. I got all these cables. These will all be cleaned up beautifully once I go ahead and mount it in the case, I'll make that all real shiny and nice. But for right now, I just want the thing to go. I'm going to give it one more try. Oh well. Not that big of a deal. I'm going to come in, I'm going to take some time, I'm going to figure out what connection is wrong, all right? In all probability, I'm concerned that I've done something wrong with either power, that could be some connectors I'm missing. There could be the cooling, which is where I think the problem is. I'm going to have to double check everything here and see if that doesn't make everything start to go the way I want. So minor disappointment, but not the end of the world. All right, let's see what people have to say. I know there's going to be 10,000 suggestions here. Let me scroll up. Oh, goodness, been a lot of talking. Steve, Syed Hussein. Hello, Mike. Can you please explain how we can run Dell command updates, and is it necessary to uninstall it afterwards? Thank you. Can you run Dell command updates? So if you're talking like in a Dell server, like lights out systems or stuff like that, as long as the Dell server has an IP address and you have a legitimate IP address for your network ID, it'll do that for you. I think it does it automatically by default. So the answer is absolutely, can you do it? Is it necessary to uninstall it afterwards? I don't think you're talking about a server. I think what you're talking about is some of the Dell third-party utilities that come with Dell laptops and such. I don't know why I would want to uninstall it. We buy a lot of Dells, and I just keep it running on them, especially if I have laptops that I only run during classes. In that case, I'm going to want to have, I want that updater running automatically. And usually if I'm going into a class, I'll bring all these laptops in the night before or an hour before class. I'll go ahead and get them all plugged in, get them on the internet, and then if any updates need to take place, I just let them run. All right, so Renee, I'm sorry guys, I've got terrible glare and I can't read the screen. Renee Lacoste, I'm a bit confused. After 10/20/22, will CompTIA be official to take it, or? No, it's not an off-topic question. That's why I'm here for. No, the older version of the exam, the CompTIA A+ 1001, 1002 is now retired. You have to take the CompTIA 1100 series, which is the 1101 and the 1102. There are a very few people in a very few strange ways that they can still take the exam, the old exam, but they are strange and weird, and you're not going to meet those qualifications, so don't even bother trying. It's 1101, 1102 all the way. Andre, who's reading manuals? I read manuals, man. I believe in manuals. Mainly the idea is I was going to try to actually get through all this without it failing. Darn. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal, kids. We'll get it up and cook it. Boy, it tortures me to leave it like this, but I want to get to people's questions and such. I'm pretty sure I've got everything screwed down correctly. Sometimes power connectors can fool you. Psst. No, I'm kidding. I know, I need to put it down too. Yeah. I'm going to have to figure it out. First thing I'm going to do after we get off here is I'm going to basically double check every single connection everywhere. I may even pull the cooler off just to make sure I've got the CPU seated right. I do. Cinderfly, hey, how's it going? Is that an ESD protected knife? Yeah, well, unfortunately, we didn't get too far on the excitement, Blake, but we'll get some more in. I know I'm missing something simple and obvious. It's going to torture me. Some switch to flip, you know, or something dorky like that. Scott S. Yeah, there was a lot of very perfectly square CPUs for a while. No floppy drive power cord, no Molex. Well, it does have a Molex if I need one. The power supply comes with some Molex connectors. What am I going to do with that? I don't know. It's torturing me. You know, even things like on a lot of these modular power supplies, you have to plug things in a particular order, and I didn't. I just went for it. Live! See, there's no light coming on the CPU. That's what's bugging me. These fans ought to be running just by default or at least even cycling. All right, Mike, put it down. Finish your AMA. We'll take this offline. All right, what else we got question-wise? Is there RAM in? Yes, yes. Does it have PS2 connectors for mouse and keyboard? Nope. Uses regular old USB. How about a zip drive? Hilarious. Techie Tommy. All right, guys, do keep in mind, just because you're nice enough to be here, we have 50% off all of our combination ebook and practice questions, our Total Tester. If you're looking to say you're interested in Network Plus, head on over to www.totalsem.com. Go over to our merchant area, grab the Network Plus ebook, and then the Network Plus Total Tester. That's our practice questions. And put those together, and at checkout, just type in the word SPOOKY, S-P-O-O-K-Y. By the way, Dave Rush has all this in the chat window here on the Total Seminars channel, so you feel free to grab that right there. And you get half off, which is ridiculously cheap, folks, so you should take advantage of it. Especially you get a half off deal for the ebook and the practice questions. And either Udemy or LinkedIn always has some amazing deal. And you can get like all of my training materials for under $100. I mean, for everything. You just got to catch the deals, man. That's the secret. Well, that helped a little. No, you don't want to use any of the 1001. You don't want to use any 1000 series A+ stuff. I'm sorry, but you got to go to the 1100 series. This happens every 3 years. We have very little control over it. Sorry about that. And we've had months to make the changeover. So, yeah, at this point, I think that certain video folks will let you upgrade, but that's about it. I have a dumb question. What CPU are you using? I am using an Intel i5 13400K. Does it have graphics on the chip? It does. It does. And as a matter of fact, that's what, when we, on the initial boot, we're going to use the onboard graphics. And then later, I will disable the onboard graphics or however this BIOS needs me to do it, because I'm going to put in that big beastie of a 4090 card. So it should be pretty cool. Does the board take DDR4 and DDR5? No, it takes only DDR5, and I have tried other slots and it hasn't panned out. But I will play with that a little bit more, because my soul tells me my problem is in the RAM. But the thing about the RAM that it's not doing for me is that if I had misplaced RAM, I'd still be getting something on the post. So, I mean, I'm getting a little light, but that's it. Misplaced RAM wouldn't keep the power supply from spinning. Need practice exam for 11 to 1 tomorrow. Where should I get them? The best place is online. And as a matter of fact, Mike, you know, let's do a little quick competition real quick, and let's see if you can win free practice questions. How does that catch you, Mike? All right. So, guys, do keep in mind that I'm going to. There's all kinds of stuff for me to be checking out here, guys. Trust me, I'm going to check it all. I know. It's the problem is diagnosing on camera isn't that much fun. So we're gonna, when I come back on next Monday, we'll have an explanation for it. I may even sneak in and bother Dave on it this Friday. All right. Anyway, so it seems like questions are running a little bit slow. Let's go ahead and do a quick practice. I got a 3-part question. You guys ready? Whoever answers this question first correctly gets 90 days free access to the practice questions of your choice. So, Mike, here's a chance to get the questions really easy. You guys ready? I'm going to ask 3 questions. You have to answer these 3 questions in a row. Answer 1, answer 2, answer 3. You guys ready? Number 1, describe the CPU that I've got put in here. Number 2, describe the RAM that I have put in here. And then number 3, discuss the motherboard that I have put in here. I've talked about all this stuff here in today's session. So I need a 3-line answer from you. Tell me what you know about the CPU. Tell me what you know about, what did I say, RAM? Yeah, CPU, RAM, and then the motherboard itself. So I need a 3-line answer from you. Andre, you immediately get a pass. You don't get to win. Andre, do you really want to win? Well, there might be people who've got more information. All right, I'll tell you what. Guys, just for funsies, I'm going to give this one to the new guy, Mike. Mike, and that's all your name is on YouTube is Mike. You must have been on YouTube a very long time to have that short of a name. Mike, I'm going to make you the winner today. Mike, you're right. It is an i5. There's DDR5, and it is a Z-Series Asus motherboard. So congratulations to you. Mike, in order to gain your prize, you have to send an email to my buddy Dave Rush. That's drush@totalsem.com. And in that email, Mike, are you paying attention? Number 1, put your name just like it shows up on YouTube, which is Mike. Number 2, put your email address in the body of it. I know it's an email, but we want it in the body of it. And then number 3, tell us what you want. And it sounds like you want the A+, 1101, 1102, and we can get that to you. Keep in mind, Mike, these are online products. So the faster you send Dave an email, the faster he'll be able to respond. Do keep in mind, we're a little mom and pop shop. We don't have 27 people ready to answer the phone for you. So we'll get those to you as fast as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day today. We had a little bit of fun. I'm going to go ahead. I want this thing diagnosed. And so I'm going to work on this. I have a feeling it's going to be one of these things. I'm going to say goodbye to y'all and play with it for 30 seconds and figure it out. That tends to be what happens. But anyway, I'm out the door. Guys, I will talk to y'all again soon. And don't forget, Dave Rush is right here every Friday, 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And join him as well. This is your Uncle Mike saying bye-bye, guys. I'm out of here.